All right, so from what I was told, the starting procedure is I'm supposed to put this little flash drive thing in this flashing light, and this light's supposed to stop. Okay. Then there's two unlabeled buttons. That appears to have been the right one. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1996 TVR Cerbera. Up front is a 4.2 liter V8, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this TVR because this is the car from Car Trek. Ed Bullion imported this from the UK. This car has incredible history, and I'm excited to now be a part of that. This video was filmed in the beautiful Sunshine State of Florida. If you would like to submit your vehicle no matter where you are in the country, please head on over to zackpradel.com, where there's a quick and easy submission form, and the next time I travel the country, I might be coming to you. Now let's get back to that 4.2 liter V8 under the hood. I shut things down so you can actually hear me. This is a very special engine. First of all, it made 360 horsepower from the factory, which is no slouch in this light little car. Although it is a body-on-frame car, which I find really interesting, it's still not super heavy, so the 4.2 liter does work. However, what makes it special is that this was the first ever engine designed and built all in-house at TVR. So normally, like the TVR 280i that I drove last year, that had a Ford engine. For the Cerbera, TVR actually said, no, we're gonna do it. And so they designed and built everything in-house under one roof. Now there's rumors that they took a couple of notes from Aston Martin, and an assumption could be made that they might have, just because of their relationship with Ford at the time, and blah, 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 whatever. And I'll let you hear the startup and a little bit of revving. It sounds like a motorcycle engine from the inside. It's really interesting. Take a listen. Now, like I said, paired to a 5-speed manual, it's fine. It goes in and out of gear. However, the clutch pedal is incredibly hard to reach, even with the seat moved all the way up. I'm 5'11" and struggling, which can be said for the rest of my life. But for this car specifically, I am also struggling to reach the clutch pedal. Last but not least, of course, it is rear-wheel drive. But what's it like to drive a TVR? It's god-awful. I can't see anything out of it. Everything in here is rattling and shaking uncontrollably. Pedals are hard to reach. The shifter doesn't really like me. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. Off to the left is my speedometer. Off to the right is my tachometer. And in the middle up at the top is my oil pressure. You're going to want to keep an eye on that bad boy. As well as coolant temperature. The steering wheel is a whole jumbled mess of buttons, mostly unlabeled at the upper left and right. 2 buttons on each side, both unlabeled. No idea what they do. Down below, I have a stationary cluster for my clock, center vent that I could point at my face or my balls, and then my fuel. You know, all the necessities right down there. I also get 2 unlabeled buttons. In this case, the button on the right starts the car, and the button on the left stops the car. Why this couldn't be one button, I have no idea. And it's unlabeled. And according to the owner at TVR, it just depended on what they were feeling like hooking up that day. So in some Cerberas, the start button might be on the left and the kill switch is on the right, or vice versa. Who knows? And that is quite the little headache. The steering wheel itself, though, I love because it looks almost identical, at least in my mind, to the Mach 5 from the Speed Racer cartoons. I just wish that one of the buttons were the auto jacks or giant saw blades, because maybe I could walk in front of it and not have to drive this car anymore. Off to the right, I get a dimmer switch and another unlabeled button that I'm too scared to touch. And then on the door, I get 3 unlabeled buttons. How fun! The one up at the very top powers the electronic doors. That's right, the doors are triggered electronically like a C6 Corvette, which gets even stupider on the outside. To open it, there's no door handle. What you have to do is there's a button underneath the side mirror that will open up the door. Why they made it this complicated, I don't know. I've always liked door handles, but I guess the people over at TVR did not. Moving into the center, I get a very dated radio. I get a 12-volt outlet, some interesting looking knobs and buttons. Again, no idea what they do. A giant speaker underneath. Now, this is not factory. I'll mention this in my final thoughts segment, but not factory. And then we have the shifter itself. The shifter is covered in this human-looking leather, and it's fine. I think, period correct-wise, late 90s, early 2000s car modification, it looks fine. It looks cool. I don't really have any qualms about it. I do get the handbrake, which looks equally awkward, and then nothing else in the interior, meaning the big friggin' bottle does not have a cup holder to live in, so the TVR Cerbera from around the globe, modified and all, in all of its fame, in all of its glory, fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we gotta talk about the seats. They look straight out of a Happy Meal, and they're decently comfortable. However, like I said, in the furthest up position, I am still struggling to reach these pedals, which, whatever. Speaking of seats, we do have back seats. I'm not going to try to squeeze myself back there. However, this was actually known as a 3+1, meaning the seat behind the driver is not going to be usable, but the seat behind the passenger, they actually gave a little bit of extra room. It's still about on par with a Gulag, but you could shove someone back there if you really wanted to. Speaking of shoving, let's talk about the boot. All right, so we're on the back of the TVR Cerbera, and a couple of things to note. First of all, there's a whole lot going on that I'm not even going to worry about. But in order to open the trunk, you have to sort of, there you go, hit that. And then because of this wing, you got to lift up at the same time. Now, interestingly enough, this is actually where you fill up the fuel. It's actually hidden under the trunk. So you have to pop the trunk every time you want to fill it up with gas. Super cool design. Anyway, the trunk space is not crazy. However, this laptop actually came with the car, so you can adjust the tune. And, oh, what is this? Oh, I'm sure that's not important. Just gonna leave that there. Anyway, that's the trunk space of a TVR Cerbera. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is a huge redeeming quality of the TVR. It is gorgeous. This color pops, and the camera shots you're seeing now don't do this car justice at all, because this car is famous, and we'll get to that in a second. I've seen so many videos, so many pictures, so many Instagram posts of this car. When I saw it in person, I literally paused and just said, wow, that is a good color. Now, this isn't the original color. This was resprayed top of the factory purple. Why anyone would remove that paint is beyond me. They need to be publicly stoned, and not the Seth Rogen kind. Now, the modifications I could take or leave, but hey, what can you do? So let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving the most famous TVR, probably maybe in the world? Well, I do want to talk about this car's history. This car, originally obviously sold in 1996, was then purchased by Charisma. Charisma was basically their version of Pimp My Ride, what we had here in the States, and was really sort of going off of the Too Fast, Too Furious sort of movement. And so this car was built for the Max Power magazine, which was a tuner magazine at the time that showcased wild and wacky cars like Monster Garage or anything you can think of. And then it sat around for a little while, it moved owners, and then came over here where it was featured in a YouTube series by Auto Tempest and VinWiki called Car Trek, where a guy named Ed, who owns VinWiki, brought the car over and they did a road trip of imported cars. It's a fantastic series. Please go seek that out. And then when they were done with the series, they auctioned the car off, and my good friend Matt purchase the vehicle. He brought it down here to Florida from Georgia, and now it's where it's living its life. Its current plans are a little bit on hold because Matt is currently building out his storefront to have classic cars and bikes, which you can see and read about in the description, so this car has been put on the back burner a little bit. But I am so incredibly thankful, excited, and just happy to now have my name associated with this car that has been in so many different media outlets and so many different hands. I mean, to drive something from a magazine is cool in its own right, but to have a TV show, a very insanely popular YouTube series, that's so cool to me. And so I am so incredibly thankful to Matt and Tim for letting me take out the TVR, because I get to have my name up in lights for a little bit. I get to associate my brand, shooting cars, with this iconic vehicle. Now, the car itself sucks. I hate driving it. I don't want to drive it anymore. I hope that when I turn this car off and return it to the owners, I never have to get into it again, because it is awful. You can't see out of it. It doesn't drive great. It has too much power, in my opinion. I can't reach most of the things. I don't know what half the buttons do. I don't know if it'll turn the wipers on or destroy a small country. I have no idea. But that's also kind of the charm of the TVR Cerbera. It's wacky and wild. I really believe that the people who buy Polaris slingshots to be different and wacky and wild, they think they're buying something like the TVR, but what they're really buying is a single dad mobile. This is actually insane. This is actually crazy. And much like now we're seeing with Kanye West getting praise for having mental illness, that's what this car is. This is the automotive equivalent of Kanye West. It's a active train wreck happening in front of us, but you just cannot take your eyes away. And for me, I can't take my foot off the throttle or my hand off the shifter. It keeps drawing me back in. And just when you think this car might be normal, nope, power door handles for no reason. Nope, rear opening hood. If your battery dies, you can't get into the car. Nope, you want to service the alternator, it's underneath everything. But then you say, oh, TVR, just be normal. Why can't you be normal? Well, because normal's boring. I've reviewed over 1,000 cars here on the channel. Most of them, I post a video and never think about again. But I can promise you, this TVR is going to haunt my dreams. I'm going to think about this car on my wedding day. I'm going to think about this car when my first child is born. I'm going to think about this car when I close my eyes tonight. And as haunting as that might be, that's something special. Not everything has that capability. Huge thank you to Matt and Tim from Obscure Rides. Obscure Rides is absolutely awesome. They let me take this car out today. They have a bicycle shop as well as classic cars, and they're always doing something fun and interesting. If you're in the St. Augustine, Florida area, please go check them out. Their information is found in the description below. I cannot thank them enough. They've been absolutely awesome through this whole process, and they've been a huge asset to the channel, so please go show them some love. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.